This is Laura Tucker Kosh, co-owner of Agent Operations, where we help real estate professionals just like you. We believe that when you focus on your strengths and outsource everything else, there's nothing you can't do. We've got a great show today, so let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of our podcast, Content Marketing for Real Estate. I am so jazzed for today's topic because it is one more step forward in talking through the content marketing strategy or philosophy for real estate agents in particular. And so this is kind of one of my driving forces, one of my passions is to help real estate agents figure out how to adopt a content marketing strategy, how to make it work for your business, and then also how it can really serve as a profound lead generator that adds people to your sphere of influence database on a regular basis by offering high value info. So that is a lot of marketing words right there. So we have a lot to unpack today, but today we're going to be talking about how to create a real estate lead magnet. A lead magnet is also known as an item of value or a free report. But before we get started on what that might look like for your business, let's talk through what is content marketing for real estate. So content marketing is a little bit different way to look at real estate marketing, and it's a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of high value online material, for example, lead magnets, items of value, videos, blogs, social media posts, etc. And you're targeting that to a specific audience, and it doesn't explicitly promote your brand, but it is intended to inspire interest in your products or services. And what that does is it just really positions you as a guide, right? As an expert in your field. And let's also define what is a real estate lead magnet. A real estate lead magnet is a marketing tactic that generates leads by offering a high value resource in exchange for a prospect's contact information. So that is in traditional real estate marketing, that would be a CMA offer or a lot of times you'll see a free reports for a seller or what is your home's value, that kind of thing. So in my opinion, those have been effective in the past, but I think that we are dealing with a much more savvy consumer profile that has easy access to their home value via giants like Zillow or Trulia. And so as real estate professionals, we have to get super creative and super high value on what we're offering in order to stand out from the crowd, in order to be different from the average bear, so to speak. So today we're going to really talk through how to select a real estate lead magnet. And we're going to go through the components of a lead magnet. And then we're also going to talk through specific examples of lead magnets. I spent a lot of time yesterday brainstorming tons of topics, because if you do a search for real estate lead magnets online, there's a lot of gibberish. There's a lot of the tried and old and just kind of generic lead magnets out there. And my mission is to really have some pop and really have some high value information. Oh, look what I did there for you today, so that you can really take some of this and put it to work for your real estate marketing. Now, one thing that I will say, I'm going to caveat it with this. If you missed episode 5 of the podcast, please be sure to go back and listen to it, because it talks about the importance of selecting your ideal client niche audience. Why is that important? Because you don't want to sell to everybody. We've all made that mistake of, yes, I will sell anybody who lives and breathes and fogs a mirror a piece of real estate, or I'll sell their home or help them. But that's, in actuality, that's not true. So, and it's really impossible to sell to the masses effectively, or really at all. So what you want to do is be very clear about who you love working with. Who's your ideal client? Who is a niche that you want to target? Because the more you drill down, the more you carve out your expertise, the more you're positioned as an expert. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want that to, limit the possibilities, or I don't want to limit who I want to work with. But there is some value. There's actually a lot of value in being very clear of who you serve the best, because that way you can laser target to them. Now, we're not talking about fair housing violations at all. This is simply a niche. Maybe, and here's an example of a niche audience. Maybe you recently helped your aging father downsize and relocate into assisted living or another senior housing option. Well, you have some very specialized knowledge that is very valuable to people who are faced with the same situation you were. So that could be a great niche for you, especially if you kind of mapped out the process and really jotted down some great information, great insight, nuggets of wisdom that you can share with other people. You'd be surprised at how comforting that kind of knowledge is to your client audience. So that's just an example. So long story short, go back if you haven't already, listen to episode 5 where we talk about figuring out your ideal client audience, because that is absolutely crucial. It really does, it really will determine if you fail or succeed at content marketing. So be sure to go back and look at that. Now let's bust into how to select a real estate lead magnet. So when I talk to clients, I talk with them and I say, through your day-to-day operations, you have compiled so much knowledge into your brain about inspections, preparing a home for sale, how to navigate a mortgage application. So just in your daily work with buyers and sellers and investors, you are constantly accumulating this great insight. You're networking with colleagues or other service providers like inspectors and loan officers, and you are kind of getting information from everyone, right? So you're compiling all this great information. Well, what we sometimes forget as real estate professionals is that information is uncommon. Even though it's all in your brain right now and you've collected it over the time you've been in real estate, it's not common knowledge because buyers and sellers need real estate representation because they don't have the answers to those questions, right? And even if they did, if we gave them insight and answers to those questions, they're still going to need a real estate professional to represent them. But what we do have in this day and age is a climate where people are so hungry for information, rightfully so. And so they're going to do a substantial amount of research on the internet before they even commit to hiring a real estate professional. So how do we get in there in the bottom floor, right? How do we get in there as they're starting their search? And that's really where the lead magnet comes into play. So when they're Googling certain keyword search terms, like what to look for on home inspection, or questions to ask your realtor before you hire a real estate agent. So those kind of keywords, how can we really start crafting content to hit those keywords to help you come up organically in searches and to really deliver a high level of value that makes them remember you and also gets their contact information so you have the ability to continue to show your value to them. Now let's look at how to select a real estate lead magnet. So there's a lot of them. Like I gave you the example of a CMA. I really think that that's pretty tired. But I know it does work in some situations, and especially person to person. If you're talking to a neighbor, oh, sure, I'll run a market analysis on your house, no problem. But how do you get in at the ground level with all these other prospects that are in your area? So selecting a lead magnet, there's some questions you're going to want to ask yourself. Number one, what topics do your ideal client niche audience want to know about? What's important to them? And the way you can collect this information is you can just ask them. So create a post on social media and ask, would you rather hear about A, B, or C, or other? What you want to do is not ask an open-ended question necessarily, because sometimes you'll hear crickets. But if you ask, and sometimes open-ended questions work, but sometimes it's better to ask, if you were a home buyer, what would your biggest concern be? A, the offer, B, the inspection, C, the process, and that will give you some great nuggets of information about what your audience is seeing or feeling. The next thing you want to ask yourself is you want to ask, what are your ideal client niche audience's pain points? What keeps them up at night? What keeps them fearful? And what can you solve? Then the next question you're going to want to ask are, what topics are going to be the easiest for you to create a lead magnet about? You're going to notice that some topics in real estate are very complicated and complex and don't really fit well with an online report. Usually those are topics where a certain amount of context has to be added to the situation. So there's not every topic is perfect for a lead magnet. So you really kind of want to think that out. Okay, this is a great topic, but what does it look like when I'm creating the lead magnet? What does it sound like? What does it look like? That's very important to ask yourself. Now, next you're going to want to kind of brainstorm what topics would be, how does your lead magnet help your ideal client niche audience get from point A to point B? And that essentially means they have a journey in front of them, right? Whether they're ready to buy or sell or whatever that might be at some point in the future. How does your lead magnet help them come from point A and grow into point B? And that growth really will show you kind of where that topic is, where that ideal topic for your lead magnet maybe lies, because you are helping them with a journey using this lead magnet. I hope that makes sense. Part of this is positioning you as a guide, is really what this boils down to. And how do we position you as a guide over the long term? So that's one of the questions that's important to ask. Now, you also want to think about, okay, so I've got my lead magnet. What content format is going to be the best way to deliver that information? So there's so many questions that you have to be thinking of as you're brainstorming your lead magnets. Now, what I encourage clients to do, and what actually we do here at Agent Operations, is to just sit down and brainstorm. Just do a stream of consciousness, brainstorm of things that your niche market is going to find interesting and find valuable. You can even do a mind map if you wanted to. Whatever is going to kind of get your juices flowing, just start jotting those down now. And you can do that as you're listening to this podcast. If you're sitting somewhere, you can actually start thinking about some of this stuff. And at the end, I will be giving you some very specific ideas for lead magnets. I spent some time and really kind of drilled down as far as what would be high value stuff that I can see going well into reports, and then also scoring you contact information so then you can get more subscribers. So we'll get to that at the end. But before we do, we want to talk about components of a real estate lead magnet. What is that? What are they made of, right? So you got to have kind of like a recipe or a formula so you can make an appropriate lead magnet. Okay, so number one, share your best content that adds immediate value. You really want to think about something that's unique. It's got to be compelling. It's got to be laser targeted to your niche audience. You want to provide a lead magnet that solves problems and adds value quickly and completely, while also delivering exactly what you promise. So that last part is really important. So it's got to solve problems. It's got to add value very quickly. And you also have to deliver what you promise. So a lot of times I've seen people make a big promise on a call to action, and then you download the lead magnet and it's a letdown, right? So that is the worst possible thing that you can do in content marketing, is not deliver the value that you're promising. So make sure that that your lead magnet really does cover that high value information, and that you're delivering it and not just putting a hook in the water, that once somebody is interested, that they just go, oh, well, that was silly. So be sure to deliver exactly what you promise. Next, number two, you're going to want to drill down. Specificity is key. And this kind of ties into the client niche audience, ideal client niche audience that we talked about in episode 5. But you really are not trying to attract everyone. You're trying to attract the right ones. And your lead magnet isn't meant for everyone, and that's kind of the point. So get ultra specific, zero in on a problem that your target audience faces, and then show them how your lead magnet and you solve that problem. Number 3, you want to tie in relevancy to your brand. While you're not selling your services per se, it's important for you to tie together your personal brand and how you help your target audience achieve their goals. And your lead magnet is an integral part of your overall content marketing strategy. So help your audience connect the dots as to how you can help be their guide. Number 4, you want to name your lead magnet right. The title matters. Oh my goodness. So this is something, it's kind of like I liken it to an ad headline, or even a journal, or sorry, a headline in journalism, or in a newspaper. Sorry, who gets those anymore? You know what I mean? I'm dating myself. But the title really does matter. So what I encourage in some of our blog classes is I say, okay, you've written the blog, but now you need to spend time after you've written it naming it. What is going to be a good name that's filled with keywords that are going to be interesting to your target audience? What's going to grab them? So you want it to be something you want to really treat it as your first impression, right? Because the first thing they're going to see is the title. They're not going to see all the great content, but the title is what is is the bait on the hook, so to speak, right? So you want to be sure that you're using creativity, you're using action verbs, that you paint a really clear picture of what your target audience's life will look like once they download and digest the info that you're providing. So really spend some time figuring out what that title should be. And one thing I do is I'll brainstorm 4 or 5 titles, and then I'll come back either a couple hours later or the next day, and I'll kind of look at that again. All right, which grabs me? Because sometimes you can get so close to the content that it becomes a little bit difficult to see. You're so close to it. So next up, you want to craft an irresistible call to action. And whenever possible, make sure that your call to action button is action oriented. There's times, for instance, on Facebook ads and things like that, where you cannot get away from the learn more button, right? But whenever possible, you want to say, show me how, or download this report today, or just things that are a little bit more action oriented and inspiring. That really kind of captivates, okay, well, you're going to want it's that good. You want this report. Come on, download it, show me how. Next, you want to make sure, this is really not part of that checklist, I suppose, but it is important enough that I need to talk through it. So not every website has the ability to utilize a content marketing strategy. And why is that? So some real estate websites just do not have the functionality that we need. And what is that, you might ask? Well, it must have form functionality. In other words, you have to be able to build a form on your website that collects contact info and sends or downloads the lead magnet upon receipt of that information. So what we prefer to use, and this is actually a paid plugin, but it's worth every penny. It's a program called Gravity Forms, and Gravity Forms is for WordPress websites. So it is so worth it. It makes receiving contact information and sending the lead magnet to the prospect so easy. In a pinch, you can use a Google form with an auto responder capability, kind of an add-on that you can put on there. That also works. It is definitely not my first choice, but I understand that not everybody has a WordPress website. So, and then overall, just as I'm going to show you my bias here, I believe that WordPress websites are always the best platform for content marketing for real estate. There's a lot of reasons why, but that is a topic for another day. So just I just believe in the agent having control of your website. And I think that websites, while the search functionality is important, it's not nearly as important as it has been in previous years. And I think it's evolving to more like a hub of information for your target audience is really what your website needs to be. Yes, it does need to have information about buying and selling a home. It does probably need to link to a home search. But there's a lot of other things I would prioritize as more important than some of the traditional components of a website. All right, I'm stepping off my soapbox now. All right, now one thing, there's some things that we want to go through as we're talking through this. I really want to get your juices flowing. And so one of the ways to do that is I'm going to give you some examples now of real estate lead magnet content formats because there's a ton of them. And so I don't want you to limit yourself to a free report or a free ebook or whatever that is. But this list, I'm hoping, will really kind of get you thinking about, number one, your target audience and what they're going to like, what they're going to find valuable. And number two, that a lead magnet can take so many different forms. Okay, so here goes. I'm just going to rapid fire here. Checklist, a cheat sheet, a template that they can use, what we call a swipe file, which is basically, you see these a lot in the agent operations marketing that I do, stuff that you can just take and copy and paste. That's called a swipe file. Examples. It can be a script. It can be a toolkit. It can be a resource list. Think about your vendors. Vendors, that's a great way to add value to your SOI, is to provide a resource list, or even provide the resource list to the general public with the intention of getting more subscribers. More examples: calendar, a plan or planner, a worksheet or workbook, something that's printable. Like a print file, or maybe it's a new homeowner shopping list. We'll get to more examples here as we go. An inspiration file, something that makes it fun to get your prospect inspired. Prompts, for example, a journal prompt. Here's 45 journal prompts to get your creative juices flowing. That's not a real estate example, obviously, but I think that there's a lot you can do with prompts. Calculator, a deal calculator, a spreadsheet, recipes, gated content. And what that means is it's value-added content beyond something like a blog post. So your blog post kind of whets the appetite. It still has really high-value information, but then there is an option to take the user to the next level, and that's called gated content. It's basically an expansion of the content with even more goodies that they would sign up for. You can do a tutorial, you can do an ebook, you can do a guide, a report, infographic, educational video. I love that. Educational audio. I love that. Webinar, an email course. An email course would just be a simple pre-written autoresponder series that talks about maybe the concerns, how to overcome your concerns as a first-time home buyer, or how to buy your first home. And it's just a bunch of emails that you've already put together. You string it together as an autoresponder that drips out every 3 to 4 days and delivers that value. So it is helping you stay in front of people without your face having to be in front of people. All right, moving on. Free coaching session. It can be an audio version of a blog post. You have a lot of people who want to listen to stuff when they're traveling or walking, but they're not going to be reading something. They can't read a screen, so you turn that into an audio version. A summary or a Cliff's Notes version. State of the industry, state of the real estate market, a mind map, recording, a replay, a slide share, that's primarily on LinkedIn, a roundup, and I love the roundup. Simply interview people and put all the quotes together. So, for instance, if you're going to do a buyer roundup or a roundup aimed at buyers, is you could go and interview your mortgage lender, your inspector, your appraiser. Well, I know you don't have choices on appraisers usually, but you get the idea. You can basically compile all these great things, and that's a great way to scratch your strategic partners' backs too. Hey, I want to feature you in my roundup. Will you also send it out to your database? So there's a lot of possibility for some, I'm going to use it, synergy. I know everybody giggles at that word because it's so it's dingleberry, but that's all right. You get what I mean. But it really does kind of put everything on steroids, which I love. A newsletter, it can be a quiz, it can be a giveaway, it could be a coupon. I put coupon last because I really don't believe that you should be giving away your commission. You work way too hard for it. But if you have that as an idea and you want to give a free seller or a free home buyer warranty away on your website and have people sign up for it, go for it. But that's why I put coupons last. So, all right. Now, what I'm going to do with our time left, because I'm running a little bit long on this, is I'm going to go rapid fire through a whole bunch of lead magnet ideas. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this where you can also download it on our website so you can have the complete list. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to every single one, but I'm sure going to try. So I'm going to talk fast. So you better write fast or download this and be able to replay it. All right, so let's talk about specific real estate lead magnet ideas. For a general or broad audience, let's say 12 questions to ask before hiring your real estate agent. Let's look at buyers, home buyer guide, in part or full. So in part means you could split up the different recommendations you have in your buyer's guide. If they're high value enough, you can split that and put them into different email or different lead magnets that you can drip out. A credit repair checklist, a first-time home buyer map, a mind map of a first-time home buyer. How to qualify for a mortgage, 7 questions to ask on your home inspection, how to prepare for buying a home that's a video, a home buyer budget spreadsheet, a list of new construction or new build homes, a list of homes for sale in this community with such and such a feature, a millennial's guide to home ownership, a loan estimation or a loan estimate worksheet, a mortgage amortization calculator, how to calculate your mortgage at a different loan amounts and interest rates, a housewarming checklist, a housewarming party checklist, 5 ways to win in multiple offer situations, how to buy a home after a divorce, how to use a gift to buy a home, things to consider before buying a vacation home, things to consider before buying a home with a septic system, things to consider before buying a home with a private or community well. Okay, relocation buyers. We can talk relocation toolkit in full or in part. Explore your town, things to do, amenities, different attractions in the area, a list of upcoming events in your town. Dog lovers, pet-friendly restaurants, dog parks, play date locations, a home buyer planner. How renting a home can prepare you for buying a home in 6 months. Questions to ask when hiring a moving company. Tips for moving with pets. Tips for moving with children. Area golf courses. Renovations and improvements. How to track improvement, a home renovation spreadsheet, and how to track improvements and their return on investment. Trusted professionals or vendors, cost versus value for remodeling projects. General home ownership lead magnets now. Complete guide to protesting your property tax appraisal. Back to college checklist, how to make your home more energy efficient. Home maintenance schedule or calendar where kids eat free in your city. Tips for a healthy lawn and garden, summer camps in your area, favorite summer cocktail recipes, how to chop 24 grand and 4 years off your mortgage. All right, let's talk sellers real quick, rapid fire. Home seller guide, partial or full, pre-listing cleaning checklist, FSBO help kit, FSBO budget spreadsheet, FSBO home showing checklist, FSBO open house checklist, FSBO exterior prep checklist, FSBO interior prep checklist, pricing strategy checklist, writing effective ads, best way to answer property inquiries when you're a FSBO, FSBO under contract details checklist, expired listing help kit in full or part, how to stage your home on a budget, how to sell your home in 21 days, home seller planner, prep your home for sale as a video, do it yourself deep cleaning checklist, printable home staging checklist, questions to ask when hiring a moving company, printable seller's net sheet as a spreadsheet, 25 ways to declutter your home, tips for moving with pets, tips for moving with children, how to navigate a probate transaction, how to navigate a home sale due to divorce, tax consequences of selling a home co-branded with your favorite CPA, the dangers of overpricing your home, how to be sure that you aren't in violation of privacy laws when showing your home, 6 reasons why your home may not sell. All right, we're down to investors. 28-day flip as a spreadsheet, video, or free report. How to flip a home. How to buy investment property with little or no money down. How to recognize a good property investment. Deal calculator. Millennial investor guide. Signs that you need to pass on an investment property. Rental warning signs. 5 ways to buy investment property with minimal money. How to spot a home with investment potential. 5 common real estate investment mistakes. How to buy multifamily properties. Rental property rules. Airbnb rules. All right, for downsizers or right-sizers, we have downsizing checklists, how to select a senior living option, subscribe or join. Join my email list for fantastic weekly home tips. That was rapid fire. We still got just a couple more things to cover, but that is really important. And then we will wrap up this episode. So pause and breathe. All right, you've got your lead magnet, or you know where you're going with your lead magnet. So what's next after that lead magnet is created? Once you've created your lead magnet, added it to your website, promoted a comprehensive marketing strategy on all channels, and collected contact information, you'll need to consider how you're going to incubate these leads. In other words, now that you've got the contact information, what do you do next? So typically that comes in the form of a custom email nurture campaign sequence that drips out additional content that continues to position you as your target audience's guide. And we use MailChimp for this, for our marketing, but there's a lot of different email marketing programs that do offer an automation feature is what you'll be looking for. One thing you want to do is you want to start a spreadsheet to track and inventory the content that you create. You'll find this extremely helpful in future years, or if you ever kind of stumble across writer's block. Trust me, it happens. You'll want to consider how any existing content can be repurposed into another form in order to make your marketing dollars go farther. For instance, can your lead magnet be repurposed into a YouTube video? What about a blog post, or maybe as a highlight in your monthly email newsletter that you should be doing to your sphere of influence? The possibilities truly are endless. It's pretty cool. Now, as we wrap up this episode, this long episode, thanks for hanging with me. Be sure to stay tuned for more great information on how to repurpose your real estate lead magnet content, tips on content marketing, things that we have discovered along the way, how to incubate your leads, and how to continue to build your subscriber database. We are super excited to try to help develop your very own content marketing strategy for real estate. The fact that you're even listening to this right now is super cool. So it means that you are kind of looking ahead and figuring out, okay, how am I going to continue to generate leads for my real estate business as the world kind of changes and things like that. So just appreciate you listening today. If you have a show or topic request, be sure to email me at Laura, and that's LORA at agentoperations.net. I'm always looking for content as far as that's going to be useful and beneficial and really knock your socks off, so to speak, because I really do want to deliver that value. And, you know, you can hire us to do this stuff, but I also want to make it so affordable, beautiful real estate marketing is available to everyone. So, have questions? Let me know. Thanks so much for listening. Now go out and create your real estate lead magnet. You're going to do great. Thanks for listening. Hey, we love your comments too. If we've helped you, be sure to screenshot and tag us on social media at Agent Operations. You can also join our community by subscribing to updates at agentoperations.net/subscribe, or just click that little red subscribe button on YouTube. This is Laura Tucker Kosh, co-owner of Agent Operations, where we help real estate professionals just like you focus on your strengths and outsource everything else. Faith, passion, purpose. Until next time, friends.